All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to show you some of the updates that we're doing because I've been working on some pre-mades for all of you. And one of the pre-mades is a card, not a card, it's not a card game, it's a role-play game. We're working on a character named Nocto, and Nocto is a Dementor. He's someone who uses nightmares and um, demonic powers and shadows and hallucinations to terrify his opponents. And this has caused me to, in making these pre-gens, these characters, these pre-made characters, has forced me to go through the rule book and really trim the fat, trim the fat on some of the spells that no one is ever going to choose or use on their own, and to streamline some of the effects and um, some of the aspects of this game, some of the mechanics, so to speak. Which brings us to this little guy, Shrieking Spectre. Now, Shrieking Spectre is what we're going to be doing with one of the core mechanics of the game. And one of those mechanics is called Fright. Now, right now, Fright is simply reads as follows. Fright is an aspect that represents the target's horrifying nature. As such, it cannot be fought alone without a price. Shade summons, which is your creatures that you would summon to fight for you, on their lonesome cannot engage or defend against a user with this ability. They have to either run away or find something else to fight with them to help fight against something as horrifying as a creature with fright. Now, this is traditionally to be understood in roleplay terms as the fear mechanic from the card game, which was that it was unblockable. It was something that couldn't be engaged with. But as I was building out some of these characters, it needs a little more oomph. It needs a little more oomph. Then Fright continues with other targets. Basically, anything that's not a shade summon may choose to engage the user of fright or a creature with fright on their own, but must take a stress counter to do so with each engagement. We're going to change that. We're going to make it a little more engaging. Do other targets, and this is how we're going to change it. Um, must make a intimidation. The now, do I want it to be intimidation? And I think we're gonna go with insight. I think I want insight for this one. Yeah, it's insight because you're trying to see past the horror. You're trying to see past it, and that requires some kind of wisdom. It's not perception per se, because if you're actually looking at this thing, you'd still be shitting yourself. But no, it's going to be something along the lines of wisdom. So it's going to be something along the lines of insight, intimidation versus insight. Make an intimidation be insight roll, not check. I have to learn proper English. Let's make an intimidation be insight roll. On a failure, we gain a stress counter. That's it. That is how we're going to increase the fright mechanic because as you start to build out your characters, and if you really wanted to build a stress shade mage, having creatures with fright is going to help you significantly. And let me just make a few edits here. There we go. do. Sorry, just making a few little edits as we're going along here. Eh, Yeah, as you're using this mechanic, this fright mechanic, being able to have that in your back seat, to be able to to create shape summons that are going to be able to help you in combat, generating those stress counters, because stress counters not only debuff, but once they reach the target's toughness, the level of toughness that they have additional spell effects which you're going to want to take advantage of. So the idea of these builds is to rack up as many stress counters on a target as possible as fast as possible. So um, I have no problem making stress counter users more powerful in that regard. And the our character Nocto is way powerful when it comes to stress counters, and it's a viable tactic. It's a debilitating tactic, but we need to make it more role play centric. So stress counters were introduced as a way to represent not just discarding, but this kind of frightful nature, this ability to create horrors that are going to shock and rattle the minds of your opponents. And that's what we're doing here. We're giving an errata for fright, and so those are the new rules for fright. Um, if you are going against a target with fright, you'll have to pass an intimidation check, or you'll gain that stress counter. Um, so yeah, there we go. Nope. Okay, I have to adjust this because it's not the target's intimidation; it's their insight versus the intimidation of the creature. Now, when you when you're in combat or when you're making skill tests using a shade summon, the shade summon uses the stats of the caster. So if you were to cast something with fright and it's forcing this intimidation roll or this insight roll, the intimidation, the DC check is going to be against the intimidation of the frightful creature's um, caster's ability, which is going to be rather high. Anyone casting these creatures is going to have a naturally high intimidation. So against normies, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to succeed that roll. So you have a creature that's going to guarantee um, giving that target an extra stress counter. So that is the new errata. As always, it's just light editing as we go along here. So that's what we're doing with Fright to make it a little more compatible, a little more interesting. And on that note, everyone, go throw some shade. I know it's been a while, guys. It's been a while. I've been doing homework. I've been doing the adult thing, and so, as you most of you know, I started a new job. I've been busy with that, balancing everything. But we're getting back on track. We're getting these pre-gens popped up, and we're going to move forward. As always, guys, take care and go throw some shade.